Today I am speaking to a good friend of mine, Lee Morrison. He's a fitness instructor. Lee,
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you, man.
Sava, it's good to be with you again. Thank you.
I'm really glad you made time to meet with me.
Thank you.
I had a very good time with you yesterday when we were having coffee.
Yeah.
And you told me that your business took an interesting turn.
Mm.
I'm not sure whether during COVID or post-pandemic. I'm not sure, but I was fascinated by it and pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Would you tell us more? What happened?
Yeah. It did actually start before COVID a little bit. I started working with older adults a little bit more.
Okay.
Because just to give a little bit of background, my classes and personal training was predominantly with younger adults, some middle-aged people. But I then found myself gravitating more towards the older population. Did a qualification that allowed me to do gentle exercise classes for seniors. Okay, so by seniors, I mean people over the age of 60, some a little younger, basically people that wanted a very gentle approach to exercise. I also did a qualification to allow me to work with people that were recovering from things like heart attacks, strokes, any kind of cardiac issues, and started to deliver classes once I had that qualification. So that kind of transpired before the lockdowns and the pandemic, and then started to pick up again post-pandemic around about 2021. So until present day.
Yeah, you said you've been drawn more towards senior people. How? What?
When I think about it, I just think there was just a natural connection. When I look back throughout my life, people that I've kind of gelled with or connected with more, I found have been older adults, and I don't know why.
So it comes natural to you to work with older
I feel
adults.
that it does. I don't feel that it's hard work.
Okay.
I mean, I think all relationships on whatever level, they all take work.
Of course.
But I do find myself drawn more towards older adults. Not that I have anything about any how can I say, any problem working with younger people, but I just don't find that same connection. Okay, I can work with them, but I don't find the same joy or spark. So yeah, so I found that I've gravitated towards the older adults.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me how. Okay, where do you find these older adults? You told me you work in some in quite a few care facilities around the northeast of Scotland.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, that's quite interesting because I think when we spoke about it previously, I don't know any I don't think I know anybody else that kind of does.
I don't know anybody else.
Now, that being said, there are other gentle exercise instructors that might deliver classes in sort of like sheltered housing accommodation. They may do community classes. Community classes, like in church halls, tends to be the normal. Okay. But going into care homes specifically, I don't know of anybody else that does it. Certainly in the northeast of Scotland, but that's not saying that there isn't anybody that does that. But yeah, so that just came about. I did a qualification called Move It or Lose It, which is a UK recognised qualification where people are teaching and instructing older adults, helping them to move better, to enjoy life more, just through simple exercise. And I think probably more than just exercise, actually helping them to move better, to socialize, to gather together in small groups, that kind of thing. So I did the qualification for that, and then set about contacting. I think it was about 4 or 5 care homes within the Peterhead area, and there was only one that got back to me.
It's always like that one. Yeah.
But so hey, I was starting out, so didn't get discouraged.
Yeah.
I was very, very thankful that I got the opportunity to go there. And so, I'm really pleased to say that first care home that I went into, I've been going there now since 2017.
Okay.
So it's coming up for seven years now.
Wow.
It'll be 7 years around about this August, if I remember correctly. Okay, we had a little bit of dropouts during the pandemic, but was able to stay connected, through FaceTime and that, a couple of calls and that. So you were still helping to bridge that gap. Yeah, so that was good. But, there's nothing like meeting face to face. I think that's where my kind of strength is and passion is, meeting face to face with people. Yeah.
Okay, you told me yesterday, that you told me yesterday that you are dealing with people in their older age with disabilities like dementia and everything and stuff like that, So tell us, like, for example, what's the oldest person you have in your in your classes, and what are the disabilities that they are dealing with?
Yeah, that they're dealing with. Okay. To the best of my knowledge, I actually asked one of the locations that I went to last week. I asked who was the oldest in the group, because I knew that there was a couple of gentlemen that would have been sort of pushing late 90s. It turns out that one of the gentlemen was 98. He'd just turned 98. And then another gentleman had just passed 100.
Wow.
And I do know in one of the other locations that I go to, that there is somebody that's just turned 100 as well. So that's two people over the age of 100, numerous that could be, within the 90s or just turned 90, and then others that are maybe within their 80s, 70s, and so on.
Okay, so what kind of exercises you do with people who are in their 80s and 90s? Some of them are probably disabled in some ways. So how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, people, as you can imagine, at all ages and stages of life can be suffering some sort of debilitating illness or issue. I think joint stiffness is a huge one. People speak about, arthritis, osteoarthritis, just not being able to move well or not being able to move without pain on some level. Muscle loss is something that, this might surprise you. We actually start to lose muscle tissue in our bodies from the age of 30.
Oh man, that's not good.
So we've been withering for a few years.
So I've been losing muscles for the last 20 years because we both are in our 50s.
Yeah.
So,
So that's the reason I mentioned that, is because that's why it kind of enforces why we need to do something to either try and maintain or to increase the lean muscle tissue.
So how does an exercise look?
Okay. So
for people of 80, 90. No.
Great question. How that looks is simple movement. Okay. Think functional movement. Okay. Obviously, into your 80s and 90s, you want to still be able to hold your own knife and fork. Okay. You may need a slightly modified handle. Okay. For when you're eating. So that's fine. Obviously, just adjusted for your grip. But what we try and do is exercises that get movement. I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples. It could just simply be wiggling the fingers.
Wow.
Okay. What we're doing there is we're encouraging blood flow, into these smaller limbs. I mean, I might just add this. I've probably got the coldest hands on the planet.
When they would say that I get the coldest body on the planet.
It's actually, how could I be so cold and still be alive?
I know,
but I do. I just find my extremities. So I understand what that means. But thankfully, I don't feel any pain.
So as little as that will increase the blood flow into your fingers.
Into the fingers, helps with movement. When we move our bodies, there's actually a fluid that lubricates the joints. It's called synovial fluid. Okay. Don't want to be too technical, but just thought I'd throw that in.
No, please do.
Okay. So
that makes us look smart.
Yeah. I need to put my glasses on to listen.
Exactly.
But no, that's what happens. This fluid actually lubricates the joints, so it actually helps with the movement. So things, just something as simple as wiggling the fingers. We normally call that piano fingers.
Okay.
And then just a simple act of curling the fingers up and then shooting them out.
Okay.
By stretching the fingers out, we're actually stretching the palms. It's quite common for muscles in the hands and the grip to get stiff.
Okay.
So we're actually helping just with movement there. It's actually, I mean, you think we're doing this now, it's actually quite therapeutic, isn't it?
Actually, yeah.
It's not doing a lot for your beach body, but it's
no, for your beach body, you have to stop eating.
But it's quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
So it's productive and it's functional. Then something else we might do, wrists. I mean, sometimes you hear your wrists click.
Yeah.
You know, and it's quite normal. We do. We get stiff. Sometimes I don't know if I'm 100% sure on this, but you know, sometimes when our limbs click, it can actually be like I think it's a buildup of gas between the joints. So it's nothing, life-threatening.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's just gas.
I like, for example, I do when I what's the word I'm looking for? After an exercise, I am stretching. Yeah. I do this for my, this is for my triceps, just to stretch my muscles, and for my joints, for my wrists.
Yes.
So it's really good though, and I kind of stretch. I kind of hang for about 30 seconds. Like just hang.
Yeah. So that's good. Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If you don't do that, have you ever come away from the gym having not done that after you've had like quite a good workout? Have you not stretched? How do you normally feel if you haven't stretched?
Well, you see, not good, because my muscles are tense.
Yeah.
Like for example, yesterday I've done legs. I finished my workout with legs.
Yeah.
So I've increased weights and then I decreased weights. So I've done about, I don't know how many series, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 8.
Yeah.
Because I've increased weights and then I decreased weights. Yeah.
Okay.
So then usually after I do legs, and if I walk away, but I don't really walk away without stretching.
No. Okay.
Yeah. So, but if I do, I feel my muscles are tense and tired.
Yes.
But if I stretch, like I there are a few things that I do when I stretch my muscle. I just feel really good.
Yeah. So you recognize the benefits of it.
Oh, of course, definitely.
So that's really how I try to sell. And not that I have to sell anything, but the benefits of doing those simple exercises.
Okay. Yeah.
We're actually enhancing quality of life, of movement, enjoyment of movement. I think everybody, to be fair, wants to move with less pain. And we know that as we age, we are more susceptible to injury. Bone density starts to decrease.
Well, this is another thing that you notice when people grow old.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother-in-law, I was just talking to Wendy these last few days.
Sure.
We were looking at the pictures, that we've taken just last week and like in the last few years.
Yeah.
And her body is shrinking.
Yeah.
I mean, she's 95. She's a lovely lady. Her mind is very sharp.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yes.
But nonetheless, the body is shrinking.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, why is that?
Yeah. Well, because we age, Sava. And
you told me yesterday something that I didn't know. You said it's a condition. It's called something.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned the what's the word I'm looking for now? It's basically loss of bone density.
Yes.
So the bones are. I forget the. I'm going to kick myself afterwards because it's like, come on, I use that word all the time, all the time.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically loss of bone density, which means the bones are more prone to cracking, crumbling, and then obviously referring back to what we mentioned earlier with the loss of muscle tissue. So basically we are getting weaker, and let's face it, if we're not doing exercises that help us to open up the posture, so getting the shoulders back nice and tall, pulling the tummy in, both tummies.
Both tummies,
So if we're not proactively doing stuff like that, then we start to round the shoulders.
We get a hunchback,
we get hunchback, So we have to do things that are going to proactively help correct that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you probably know I do a fair bit of running.
Yes.
So obviously, after running, when I was younger, I used to find I could run, and who needs to stretch? I mean, who even stretches?
Not many people do though, because I see a lot of people leaving gym without stretching.
Yeah.
And I do a warm up before a workout.
Yeah.
So I warm up my body. I do certain things. A few. Yeah. So I find it so beneficial, man.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, see, the mindset.
It's like oiling your joints.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it really is, as I say, it pays dividends.
Of course,
because it has great benefits. But when you're younger, you kind of obviously have it in your mind. Okay, my body is much more forgiving.
Okay.
There's less wear and tear.
Of course, yeah.
Normally speaking.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, you find in athletes into their 30s, sometimes into their 40s, are dealing with issues that much older adults, in the general population would be dealing with.
Is that because of wear and tear?
Because of wear and tear. I mean, think about Andy Murray.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware. I think he's had a hip. I don't know if it's like hip replacement, but certainly the kind of operations that you would normally associate with older adults. And that's wear and tear. I don't know all the ins and outs.
Well, sports people,
yeah,
from what I know,
footballers,
yes, and tennis players, because our pastor in Romania is a tennis instructor. Is a coach, yeah. So the abuse the body gets when playing professional sports, it's like unbelievable. So certain, like for example, he says one shoulder is more worn out than the other one. And elbows and joints. Especially if you're a right-handed or a left-handed. It's so the abuse that the body gets. That's why I lift my hat for professional sports people, man. That's not easy at all.
No.
Footballers, anybody who does any professional sport.
Because I think, to be fair as well, and I don't want to go off topic, but we sometimes think, look at that. Look at the amount of money that these professional athletes are earning.
Yes.
But we don't recognize the risk and the what they're putting their bodies through. You think of like a contact sport, boxing.
Oh, yeah.
A fighter might only have 40, 50 professional fights in the career, at its longest. And then they retire. And then it's like, well, they can't earn those big paydays anymore. So they have to create for themselves, not a nest egg, but they have to earn enough money to be able to support
themselves. They have a very short window of opportunity when they can earn that kind of money, because some of them retire at 35. Footballers, late 30s, very few can play longer.
One tackle can take a footballer out.
Exactly.
And that's it, terminate his career. No longer able to operate at that high level. So going back to the young people that we were speaking about, say the young mindset is, I'm young, my body's very forgiving. I can put it through quite an intense workout and not have to worry too much about recovery, because recovery comes fairly quickly. I'm finding this. There's guys that I'll run with at the running club, and they can run much faster, much more gracefully than I can. They can run today, hard run, go to bed tonight, sleep, and then they're running again tomorrow.
Unbelievable.
I need 2 or 3 days
to recover. Exactly.
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 So I really have to pick my battles. Choose my battles carefully. I like to run 2-3 times a week, but I like to rest as well in between, because I have to understand that I want longevity in my body. I want to keep myself fit and healthy and strong, but I also want some longevity. Okay,
that's true.
So when I was younger, never used to stretch. It wasn't an issue. Muscles are much more elastic, for want of a better word. So they return after they have been contracted, through exercise. They return back to their normal length quite quickly when you're young. When you're older, it's they still return, but they need a little bit of help.
Okay. That's true. That's true.
So that's why we move.
You mentioned a few people in some of the homes you're going to
Yeah.
are having dementia, and
Yeah.
they are quite young, just around about our age, in their
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah.
How does a workout look for them? What do you do with
Okay.
them?
Yeah. I mean, let me just say I'm no expert with dementia. I'm learning things all the time. And to be fair, I would actually like to do a qualification so I get a better understanding. I'm basically flying by the seat of my pants, if I'm, to use that phrase, because
You hope it works.
I hope it works,
Yeah.
and I'm learning along the way. It's a
Yeah.
learning curve. What songs work well. We use music. Sometimes no music, just our voices.
Wow.
Simple songs. This might surprise you. What works really well with people that maybe are suffering from dementia is folk songs, children's songs.
Wow.
They love the hokey cokey. Now you might
I've heard about
have
it,
you,
but I
have you,
can't remember what it is.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to teach you.
Come on then. Hokey
But
cokey.
it's really, you put your right arm in. There you go. Right arm in, right arm out, in, out. You shake it all about. You do the hokey cokey, and then you turn around.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Okay.
And then we do, the hokey cokey cokey. They haven't got that in Romania, Sava.
I'm sure they will have something relative or resembling hokey cokey somewhere in our culture. Definitely, I'm sure there is something.
I mean, I've no idea where that song originated, but most people that I know would.
Is that older people or anybody?
I think even young people.
Okay.
Would be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something like that has got. I mean, as you saw there, moving the limbs and that different directions. Another one we would do is head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
I've seen that. Yeah. Is that for kindergarten or kids do that?
It is. And I remember somebody saying to me, well, do you not think that's a little bit condescending, doing children's songs with older adults? And I thought to myself, well, if you could look at it in one way, thinking, okay, well, these aren't kids.
Yeah.
But they are people that need familiarity. And sometimes the simplicity of children's songs gives some familiarity and also helps with their coordination. It's something as simple as touching the head, the shoulders, knees, and toes. It's familiarity that, because it is possible. And this is something that I have learned. Some people with quite severe dementia lose the ability to recognize the right-hand side from the left-hand side of the body, a bit like I nearly did then. So if I ask a person with dementia, this is possible. I'm not trying to say a blanket statement, but you might find that person will raise their left hand. If I say touch the right-hand side of your body, they'll just touch the left.
But that happens even with people that are quite normal and okay. Like some people who don't distinguish between their left and right hand.
Thing. Yeah. But it is difficulty. Yeah. They might.
I could do that actually sometimes.
Yeah.
I could do it. Yeah.
But like if I say to you, I mean, you do it with me just now.
Okay.
I say to you, right, we're going
to. Now you see, now I'm very conscious.
Now you're conscious of it.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing because then you're focused. So touching the left hand side of your head.
Yeah.
Then touch the right hand side of your head.
Hand, yeah.
With the same hand. Yeah. And then touch your right shoulder, right knee.
You see, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that we do as well on autopilot, and I'm not smart with that at all. Yeah. But as I say, I'm just finding that the simplicity of those kind of songs, children's songs, work wonders. I mean, there is an aspect as well because of the ages of the people as well. So somebody like in their 70s and 80s, they were growing up, let's see, in the 1960s, 1950s. So I might play a little bit of music from that era.
Okay.
Familiarity, they start singing along. It might bring back really pleasant memories for them. So you're creating an atmosphere.
Yeah, because people with dementia, they kind of come back to themselves now and again. They get lost, and then they come back, and then probably they would remember things from long time ago, but they won't remember things that happened yesterday.
Commonplace that they can recall with great clarity their children, their wife, that is maybe no longer alive. Okay, they can remember with great clarity. Oh yes, my wife's at home, my children, or they'll be coming back from school, and their children have grown up and maybe passed on. Okay, it's possible.
Yeah.
They can remember all of that, but then if you ask them, what did you have for lunch today? I can just draw a blank. And again, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but that is sort of
generally speaking,
typical of what you might find. It doesn't make them stupid. They're not stupid.
No.
Because some of the things they can do, sometimes you say, yes, brilliant. And it also encourages me when some of the activities that I have done with the people, when care staff come and say to me, oh, we're really, really pleased with so-and-so's engagement today, because if they weren't here doing this class, they would be in their room watching TV, excuse me, or sleeping, So it's little wins, little victories, and I've had care staff again say to me, for them, because they're working with the people, all, a long time, 11, 12 hours a day, when they see little victories, like a person being able to pick up their own cup at the dinner table rather than somebody have to hand it to them, then that's maintaining independence for them. And I think that's really, really important as we get older as well. We want independence. We want to have the dignity of being able to do things for ourselves, and not everybody is afforded that, sadly.
Since yesterday, since we had the coffee and we talked about lots of stuff, but you mentioned about these gentlemen, these guys in their 50s, being in an old people's home, dealing with dementia, and you working with them and doing these exercises. Man, I was just thinking a lot about it. It could be me, it could be you.
Yeah.
And what? And I was thinking, how can you avoid dementia, or do we know what triggers it? Or,
I think there's still a lot of research going into it, and like I say, I would like to do more of a study qualification. I have listened to information about, obviously some of the studies that have gone on with dementia. They're actually calling dementia now, in some studies, type 3 diabetes.
Okay.
So there's a link there with nutrition and lifestyle, food intake, which is quite interesting. So because sometimes we think it's totally, unassociated.
So lifestyle. Okay. So what are we doing that will lead to dementia, or what are we eating that will lead to dementia? Well, did you find out?
Typically with people that are like type 2 diabetics. So this is basically down to they've had an unhelpful diet. Maybe some unhelpful lifestyle factors, things like that. With the type 3 diabetes that they're labeling as dementia, it could be down to a very high simple carbohydrate diet, high in sugars, So again, I don't know over what kind of time period or duration, but that has kind of contributed, they believe, in the studies towards that.
I know that refined sugars are bad for us, and they are like poison. It is poison, and we get hooked on sugar. Everything contains sugar. I'm trying to keep my sugar level, my sugar intake, I think, below 76 grams a day. So I'm always monitoring that, but then I'm obsessive compulsive, so it was okay.
You like to have the
so control. I like to be in control. And I know sugar is poison, and actually everything we do throughout the holidays just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the stuff we ate, it's sugar.
Yes.
Because you eat the turkey, you eat the broccoli, you eat the cauliflower. With
I mean,
cheese.
there's some
it's
redeeming
good stuff.
features.
But then the desserts, I mean, like the Mississippi mud pie.
Yeah.
Cheesecakes. I love cheesecake. And just, and you have your conscience is really condemning you. So you have a little slice, and then you think, but I deserve it. It was a hard year. Have a bigger slice.
Well, the thing is, Sava, I mean, I don't own the patent on this idea and that, or claim that it's original. But I've heard people say, and I would kind of believe this myself. What you eat on Christmas Day, is one day out of 365.
So our problem is having Christmas every day. I wish it would be Christmas.
I wish it could be Christmas every day. But you know what I mean?
That Elvis, I think so.
No. Much more recent. I think it was Wizard, I think, a group called Wizard. Yeah.
Wizard. Yeah.
I think the lead singer was actually from my hometown, Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we digress. But no, you're right. What I was saying there was, in terms of one day out of the year doesn't block.
It's okay. Yes.
A few days. Okay, bring it down to a week. Eating over the course of a week. If it's 1 or 2 days a week where we're just eating, maybe we've got meals out, maybe we might find it hard to eat in what we deem a healthy way. That's okay. It's the bigger picture that we
the lifestyle.
Need to look at. The lifestyle.
So adopting a healthy lifestyle. Well, this is another thing. You see, food is happiness, because we releases endorphins. Releases endorphins, releases dopamine. All the feel good, serotonin, oxytocin. So all the feel good neurons. So then if you take away food, then we will be the most unhappy people. So basically we should eat not only drink responsibly, eat responsibly. But then we need to still enjoy life. And still I'm thinking as I'm talking to you. So we need to create a balance.
And sometimes we don't like that word balance, because it's like, but no, you've got to be hot or cold, one or the other.
But you see, balance involves self-control. And we don't like. Well, self-control sounds so nice, but eventually, I don't know. I think maybe we think that we deserve. I don't know. Life is hard. We work hard and everything. So because we deserve certain things, we reward ourselves. But we don't like delayed gratification.
No.
We like instant gratification. So like, for example, even we don't even like working for the cheesecake. We want the cheesecake before we worked out. So we would rather work out after, but then we don't.
No.
So Jocko Willings, if you watch him, is very good.
Ex-Marine guy, was it? No,
ex-Marine. I don't know, something very high, general, colonel in the American Army. So he says this: just work for your cheesecake. Work for it. You don't deserve it. Work for it, and then you have it. So I think we don't like delayed gratifications to work for something. We want instant gratification, and we think we deserve. Well, you don't.
No,
you don't deserve it.
No.
And then I think self-control. It's another thing that we have to work on. I think this is for Christians and the people who grew up in church. And Protestants are the worst at it. Evangelicals. This is really something interesting. The types of charismatic Pentecostal types. God, would you give me self-control? Work in me self-control. Well, you know what? He's not going to do it. No. Because if you read in the book of Galatians, in that Paul wrote, Paul writes to agricultural people. And he talks about sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
Whatever a man sows, that he
also reap. Yeah.
That he also reaps.
Also.
So the idea of self-control is the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Yes.
So instead of praying, God, give me self-control, start practicing it.
Yeah.
You know, so I want that chocolate. Well, yeah, but not now. Yeah. Later on, or wait, or register, or record it, write it down. I've had today 125 grams of chocolate, and I'm only allowed 150. So you have another 25 grams left. You know, so keep an account of it.
Yeah, that's right.
But we don't like that.
No.
You know, so I think it's a lot to do with lifestyle. Yeah. And with the way we train ourselves. You know, it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle that we create. So yeah, I'm sorry, back to you.
No. Well, I was just thinking there as you were speaking, I'm going to use an example from my upbringing. You know, we always used to like every now and again a Chinese meal.
Okay,
so Chinese takeaway.
Okay.
But I always thought that a whole, you know, like you buy like, say for example, I would love chicken curry, and then egg fried rice. Okay, just to give an example. Okay, so 2 separate portions. I always think that was the amount for one person, right? And it was only, I don't even think it was that many years ago that I actually learned that the one portion is designed for 2 people.
I knew you were going to say that because I was in the same mindset.
Yeah.
Order a meal for yourself.
Yeah. And I had no idea. But it's like now, I remember actually it was one of the children's birthdays just before Christmas. I think it was, not sure if it was, no, it wasn't Sophia's. It was, I think it might have been Judah's. So like end of September. And we had a Chinese, and I'd ordered, I think it was chicken fried rice. Okay. So it just comes in one tub. When I put that tub onto the plate, I couldn't believe
how much it was,
how much food was there. I mean, I know for a fact my parents would, you know, like for a normal meal, we would always have enough to eat. You know, really, really thankful for that. Well provided for. But we would never have a big pile of food on a plate. And certainly, I know Christina, my wife, she would never pile the food like that, you know. So obviously then it's down to me. Okay, Lee, you don't have to eat all that in one sitting. Just take half a tray, eat it now. You can maybe put the rest up for later, tomorrow, you know, whatever.
But you know, I second that because Wendy and I mean, only in the last few years we realized that the Chinese meals are too big.
Yeah.
So like in the tub, when you buy the chicken fried rice, so I think it's about 500 or 600 grams of chicken fried rice.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah. So if I have a portion of, if I have a meal, and if I have rice in that meal, probably would be the most 150, 200.
Yes.
Most.
Well, I was just thinking there, I occasionally, just for quickness, would use this pouches of rice.
Yeah, which are 200,
200.
Yeah, so that's the most. I usually have 150.
That's another thing where I used to have a full pouch. Thinking, well, it comes in a pouch. That must be the
yeah.
You know, it's only when I started having half, and maybe supplemented it with some veggies.
Yes,
it was you know, quite satiating. You know, chicken, fish with it as well. Not to be too boring, some hot pepper sauce.
Yeah. So this is what we are doing now, Wendy and I. So when we order a Chinese, we like, what do we like mostly? Both of us, chicken and sweet corn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we like that. You know, both of us like it.
Yeah.
And then egg fried rice. So we have a tub of egg fried rice and a portion of chicken and sweet corn. So what we do, we order a portion for both of us.
Okay.
Now, the first time I thought, when we did half rice, and half of it, I thought that's a small. But by the time I ate it, and you take your time to eat it and enjoy it, it's enough.
Yeah.
Now, some people may disagree with that. That's fine. But for us, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then you can have, I don't know, some Toblerone or whatever, you know, like a triangle or something, you know. Yes. But no, you want to finish the whole thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I could see it with Wendy. Have a tub of roses or heroes by Cadbury's. We love Cadbury, Watch a movie or something and just finish the whole thing. 600 grams of chocolate, man.
It's very, very easy.
Easy.
If you don't put a restriction of some sort, again, like you say, self-control, then you almost feel obliged to tidy up.
Exactly.
So,
But let's get back to our discussion. So this is an amazing work you are doing. I mean, working with senior people, with older people, even our age, but I don't know, under this awful disease, like dementia. I mean, still I think about it, and it's really marked me since yesterday. You're doing an amazing job. How many homes you're working in right now?
At the moment, in 11 homes, across the northeast.
Northeast. So in Peterhead, we're in Peterhead, Scotland, right now. So how many you have here?
I have 3 at the moment in Peterhead. So the rest are Fraserburgh, Mintlaw, New Deer, and where's the other one? I'm trying to think. Ellen. I have one in Ellen as well. Yeah.
Well, listen, I think I do appreciate what you're doing. I think it's an amazing work, and more power to you, man.
Not to mention Crimond as well. It's just I was racking my brain there. So that doesn't sound like Lavin.
I would like to move on to another subject that I want to talk to you about. Your father came to Britain from the West Indies.
That's correct.
Jamaica?
Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, so he is the first generation of immigrants,
Yeah, would have been around at that time, sort of 1960, during the mid to late 60s. Yeah.
Did he come in Britain with that wave? I think the British government in the parliament, they passed on a law and they brought a lot of people from the Caribbean into the country.
No, I think it was like.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't remember what was called. Yeah, so he came late 60s, yeah? Yeah. So what I want, and I'm curious about, so you're a half caste, but you're a black person, yeah? And you grew up in Britain. I just want to talk to you about racism a little bit, because lately, in the last few years, people were talking about systemic racism existing in this country, and blaming the system and the institutions and everything, And I happen to have a different opinion. Now, I do not believe that this country is guilty of systemic racism. Now, so because I am emigrated into Britain from Romania, and I did not encounter systemic racism. Now, me. So I wanted to hear your story and what is your opinion about it and your experience a little bit, because your experience might be slightly different than mine. So tell me a little bit how you grew up in Birmingham. Now that's different than Northeast of Scotland. Yeah. So tell me if you've experienced anything like that.
Okay. I think it's fair for me to say from the onset that my mom and dad, they brought us into a loving home, strong, good values. And do you know what? I think it's fair to say colour was never made to be an issue within the home.
It's worth mentioning that your mom is white. So your family is a mixed race family.
Mixed race, yeah. The term mixed race, you used the term earlier, half caste, then hey, it doesn't put me up or down. But
is that? I'm sorry. Is that
no? Because nowadays people wouldn't use that, and I don't know where that originated from, but it would have been used years ago to describe a mixed race person.
Okay.
But what's funny is,
Now I do have an excuse though. English is my second language.
That's right. There you go. I'll give you one pass.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for being so gracious to me, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But so it's fine. Again, and I know we did when we were chatting yesterday. Just this thing about we like to put labels on things,
Yeah.
And I always remember somebody saying, "Labels are for jam jars."
Exactly. True.
But we like to define things, and that's just human nature.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is I firmly believe that there is one race
Of course.
The human race.
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to be too blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
But you know what? But no, I can honestly say color was never made to be a thing. It wasn't made to be something that we needed to be ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't needed to be something that we had to sort of stand up and defend ourselves on.
Okay.
You know. Okay. So when I always remember actually in preparation for this discussion, thinking about maybe situations that I've been in where I sensed racism or perceived racism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I remember being at preschool. So I would have been 4, nearly 5. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I always remember an older child in the school playground obviously took a dislike to me.
Okay.
I always remember we were near a concrete area of the playground. There was grass at the side and it was quite muddy.
Okay.
Right? So he said to me, he says, stand there, don't move. So, me being the compliant child that I was, stood there, obviously a lot of it kind of fearful because like, okay, what's next? He picked up mud and threw it in my face.
Wow.
And then obviously proceeded to laugh. I was in tears and that. And I don't remember much after that, but it just shows you at 4 years of age, you think, okay, Lee, that was like nearly 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it just shows you it has an impact on you.
Stuck with you.
Stuck with me, yeah. Now, it might not have been anything to do with the colour of my skin. It might have just been, he's a younger guy. Let's pick on the little kid because he was an older pupil. But that obviously...
But that could be down to wickedness, Kids are wicked.
Kids do malicious things, yeah.
Malicious, yes.
Yeah, so I think as well, I think of other occasions where people would have used language that's unhelpful.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been, related to the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we always used to have a saying, and it may have come through, parents or family.
Mm-hmm.
Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And then obviously you unpack that a little bit more later in life. You're a little bit wiser, and you realize that names do hurt.
Exactly. Yes.
Names can stick.
Yes.
Names can actually help or give us an identity that doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I think, and let me just say, I was guilty of using derogatory terms at a young age. Okay. I wasn't an angel, not by any means,
you retaliate.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So whatever names, and I'm not trying to justify this, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but I'm saying it works both ways.
Yes.
People are throwing mud,
yes,
verbally at you. Yeah. It's easy to retaliate and think you're doing the right thing by, probably the whole, stand up to a bully thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's not always right. Repaying evil for evil isn't, the way forward. So I mean, through secondary school, I was probably a bit more acutely aware. But again, see, growing up in Birmingham was a very multicultural. I mean, even back then, 40 years ago, being in junior school and then into secondary school, senior school, very, very multicultural. So Black children, Asian, Indian, white, Chinese, so I saw it on all levels, the language and the interactions. I can remember, people think about, I'm trying to think of a great example, but, gangs, things like that. I remember there would be gangs of Asian kids, gangs of Black children, and sometimes they would get along, and then sometimes there would be a fallout. It could be over the simplest of things, but then that's when the racism kicked in. Whose side are you on? So I mean, I'm thinking you mentioned about the systemic racism.
Well, I was going to ask you because that's what you're telling me that's like individual personal racism or discrimination,
Yeah.
but based on when with kids, they are malefic, you know, they're wicked, and they can do a lot of harm.
Yeah.
You know, girls, boys, you know.
Yeah.
But were you like, for example, in school? Just an example.
Yeah.
In school, were you treated different?
No.
In your defavor?
Yeah.
That you are black.
If
Because
I was Sava, I was totally oblivious to it.
Or
you know,
for example,
call me naive.
Yes, yes.
But you know, I've said this before. I didn't feel that staff, teachers,
or the system, yes,
or the system in place there, it didn't place me at any disadvantage. It was down to me to show that, regardless of the color of my skin, that I was able to, you know, apply myself and do the best that I could.
Or for example, when you finish school, and then you went to apply for a job, and you didn't get a job because you're black. Did that happen to you or something? No.
Actually, when I think about it, there was 2 jobs that I applied for where just before I left school. So I think I was doing exams at the time.
Okay.
One was for it was actually through my father at a management level at the company that he worked for. So I went and applied for that, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, and my father will remember this to this day. I had already applied for the other job, and I thought that the other job was more what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So I almost didn't try for the management one.
Wow.
But if I would have been smart, the management one would have maybe had more openings.
Okay.
But, you know, I always remember somebody said to me, you can't put an old head on young shoulders.
True.
You know, you can't impart that kind of wisdom. Much of that can come through experience.
Experience and youth doesn't mix.
No. So I'll be honest enough to own up and say I didn't apply myself.
Okay.
The same was with my school exams. You know, I've actually still got a school report book at home from 1980. I think it was 1987. So it would have been like the year just before I left school. And every teacher said, whether my marks were good or whether my marks were substandard, Lee always kind of settles for doing the bare minimum. You know,
just enough to pass.
Just enough to pass, or gives the impression that he's not interested at all. You know, because I don't think I understood. You know, and again, I can't point the fingers to anybody else. This was my decision. This was my doing. I didn't apply myself. I didn't see the importance of getting good grades, of receiving qualifications, because I don't know where my head was at. I honestly don't know. Because I saw friends around me that were doing good.
Guys?
Okay. One of the things that's quite big particularly in the Asian culture, what you used to find was, and again, I'm kind of generalizing, okay? There were a lot of Asian parents that, again, probably would have came to the UK in the 60s. They had to get menial jobs, like they could have been bus drivers, worked in a factory. You know, now back in Pakistan or India, they could have been highly qualified. But, you know, you come here to work, this is the jobs that you do. Okay, so you used to find that used to happen a lot. But what I used to find was some of my friends that I used to hang around with, their parents used to sit them down and say, you know, I had to do this job because this was the best they would offer me. You've got choices. You've got power to do better, you know. And my own parents, they always used to say, Lee, you know, do your best. You know that you can, you know, they used to see my reports and they always used to say to me, well, Lee, it just says there, you're not trying. You know, you can do better. The teachers know you can do better. We know that you can do better. You know, but they couldn't force me.
Unbelievable.
You know,
what do you think? What was that
it was immaturity, Sal.
held you back or something?
Immaturity, and you know, if I'm honest, maybe a little bit of fear.
Fear.
What if I succeed? What if I do? It sounds stupid now.
Are you kidding?
With hindsight,
but fear of succeeding.
Almost fear of succeeding.
Are you kidding? I've never. No. Wow.
Because I don't know whether that was because of the responsibility then. I don't know. I'm actually
You
just
think
kind
maybe
of
you
thinking,
didn't want to assume responsibility, maybe?
probably.
It was, you
Yeah.
didn't want to assume enough responsibility.
Yeah.
That was enough for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've known me long enough.
Well, for
For a few years.
almost 30 years, my man.
But, my comfort zone very often is the behind the scenes. I don't want to be the
Where is
lead,
no responsibility.
no responsibility. Yeah, no comebacks.
Yes.
Which is quite interesting because obviously the role that I'm in now, if I don't do the work doesn't get done. Do
Okay.
you know what I mean? If I don't
Yeah.
go into the
Yeah.
care homes,
Yeah.
if I don't go to the classes,
Yeah.
if I don't show up, the class doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So it has to, and I don't get paid.
So then maybe if you apply logic to it,
Yeah.
maybe the answer to fulfillment
Yeah.
and satisfaction to some level
Yeah.
is assuming responsibility.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
the more responsibility we assume,
Yeah.
by this logic,
Yeah.
the more fulfillment, the more satisfaction,
Yeah.
and probably the more productive we are,
Yeah.
or we are doing better in life, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can remember having a conversation with my mum. And I think it was round about the time where I'd sat these interviews
Okay.
for the management job,
Mhm.
for the engineering job. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, the engineering job was a very, very good job. But I think once I actually got the job and started doing it wasn't what I expected. It was a
Okay.
very, very hard learning curve, and I'll maybe come to that in a bit. But
Mhm.
I remember my mom saying to me, Lee, would you rather have a job in an office, shirt, tie, smart, or go into a workshop, boiler suit?
Okay.
Yeah, and not that that's demeaning or anything like that, but is that what you want? Do you know what I mean? She was actually trying to paint the picture for me and the choices that I had laid in front of me.
You were choosing the workshop.
I was choosing the workshop.
But were you choosing the workshop because
Mhm.
you didn't think you were good enough for the other job? Or that's where your expectations were, maybe?
Yeah. And again, the word that keeps coming back to me is I was immature because I didn't realize it wasn't school anymore where you could, fun about, laugh, try and just play at things. This was the real world, where I always remember somebody saying to me actually when I was in the engineering environment,
Mhm.
when you're at school, you can make mistakes
Mhm.
over and over and over again. You can make the same mistake
Mhm.
over and over again.
Mhm.
Okay. And eventually learn. When you're in the
Mhm.
workplace and you're dealing with things that concern, thousands of pounds,
Mhm.
maybe even millions of pounds,
Mhm.
you can't play with these things.
No.
Do you know what I mean? There has to be a
And that
maturity.
responsibility kind of scared you.
Possibly,
Mhm.
possibly.
Mhm.
But that was in the engineering
Yeah.
world,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Now, I don't think it was racism, but my manager in the engineering environment, I think he kind of deep down he kind of liked me, but he always found faults with, and probably it was down to my immaturity as well.
Okay. Okay.
He probably didn't think I was taking things seriously.
Mhm.
So I mean, thankfully I never got any verbal warnings, no threats to lose my job or anything like that, but constant reminders that more was expected.
Okay.
Okay. So it was a hard learning curve, and that's why that saying, you can't put an old head on young shoulders, has always stuck with me. They said you can make a mistake, no problem at all, no problem with that, but you make the same mistake twice
Mhm.
and you're an idiot.
Exactly. It's true. Yeah.
And I suppose it is really. I suppose it's almost akin to Einstein's statement of, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, is basically lunacy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. You see, I'm relating to your story a little bit because I grew up, I was the son of a worker,
Yeah.
just a normal worker,
Yeah.
no upper echelon,
Yeah.
no leadership roles, no nothing. And the mindset that that creates is interesting because you grow up in that environment of working family, mom and dad, normal workers.
Yeah.
You know, at the bottom of the chain food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or food chain.
Food chain. I knew what you meant.
I'm a Romanian, English second language. Yeah.
That's the second pass.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
But it's funny because I never thought I could aspire above that.
No.
And that's something. No, you see, that's something the environment teaches you.
Yeah.
You grow in that. So for anybody who grows in that environment and have broken through that and aspired to more, I think that's amazing, man, because you've overcome your condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because actually the purpose of life, as I see it, is becoming.
Yeah.
And constantly becoming.
Yes.
And we are called constantly to overcome the present condition. So higher and higher and higher. That's what it means to overcome your condition, to rise higher and higher and higher. So to me I mean, just you talking and me looking back, and I couldn't believe that I could be any different than my father.
Yeah.
And I remember finishing. Actually, I have a degree in engines with internal combustion.
Really?
Nobody knows that.
I was going to say I've known you since 1996. 28 years.
Yeah.
Never realized that.
No.
Gosh, you're smarter than you look, man.
Thank you. So engineering, I could take an engine to bits and put it back together.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
You know, so I've done practice on big engines. I practice on big engines. So I thought I'm going to be a car mechanic, you know, and stuff like that, you know. But I realized it wasn't me.
No.
Very soon, very early, I realized it wasn't me in my 20s.
Yeah.
But it's something with a mindset. So we have to break through that. And it's amazing to believe that you can be more, that your environment teaches you.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, you see, believing is not just words. Believing is doing.
Yeah.
We believe, actually what we do is what we really believe.
Yeah.
So I broke through that 30 some years ago. And I grew up in many ways saying that I don't want to be like my dad. But that refers to many things, and behaviorism and stuff like that, you know. And but back to you. So you didn't really experience systemic racism.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah. So you are not defavored because of your
color of my skin,
of the color of your skin, or you know, no. What you experience is a wickedness, meanness from kids, from colleagues, and stuff like that. I came to this country. I've never experienced systemic racism. Of course, people say things, say words, but that's people.
Yeah. And
they will discriminate against you, and we discriminate actually against each other based on many reasons.
Prejudice takes a lot of forms.
Exactly, it takes lots of forms. Yeah, but and from that point of view, I mean, because of that, I believe Britain is an amazing country, man.
It is. You often
look at the diversity. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about racial diversity now. I mean, everybody's here, and everybody who wants to make it makes it.
Yeah.
I think Britain is an amazing country.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but you know, it's a very, very common observation.
Yeah,
you do not see on the BBC News in the evening swathes of people trying to escape Britain.
Let me out.
Yeah, you don't. You know,
you don't see people catapulting themselves in Dover, going back to France. You know, like. You know,
but the reality is there are people that are facing hardships in other countries that are like, hey, let's get to Britain. You know, we've heard of Great Britain, and for whatever reason, it's somewhere where people want to come. Yeah, but I think sometimes if we're born here or if we've been here a good while, we start to lose appreciation for what we actually got.
Yeah.
You know, because again, another classic example, and I don't want to deviate off topic, but we have a fantastic National Health Service, you know, but if you can't get a doctor's appointment, oh, this is rubbish, you know, it's a disgrace. You know, but the truth is, it's there and it is still free. And when you can get an appointment and when you do really need to see a doctor, you know, I think 99.9% of the time, people can get the help that they need without fear of not being able to pay for treatment.
Yeah. The problem with the national health system, which is a great system,
it's under immense pressure.
It's under immense pressure. It can only take so much.
Yeah.
And now I am an immigrant to this country. You are a second generation immigrant to this country. Yeah. So we appreciate United Kingdom immensely.
Yeah.
I can only speak at superlative about it.
I'm not in a rush to escape.
I'm not in a rush to leave the island. Yeah. Exactly. Let me out of here.
Yeah.
You know,
for a holiday. Yes.
But like we have to understand. So I came here legally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your parents came here legally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not against anybody coming here.
No.
But we need controlled immigration.
Yeah.
You know, and for people who are against controlled immigration, I'm going to say this, you know, would you allow anybody come to your home, into your house anytime they want? No. Just knock on your door and say, oh, well, let me in. Yeah. Well, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
What do you want? You know, take advantage of my home, of everything I provided for my family.
Yeah.
So I'm providing for my family and you're going to take a slice of that.
Yeah.
Well, no, thank you. You know, so I'm for immigration, but I am for controlled immigration.
Yeah.
Now, again, there is a lot of debate of what that means to control immigration.
Sure.
But not like this. Open borders is no borders at all, man.
No.
You cannot have open borders. America is struggling with that.
Yeah.
Britain is struggling with that. Oh, and this is another thing. If you politicize immigration, it gets ugly. If you politicize anything, it gets ugly.
Yeah.
You know, because take the politics out of it and you can sort everything easy.
Yeah.
Put politics into it and everything gets hard.
Yeah. And you never get a straight answer.
Never get a straight answer. It's heated.
Just say yes or no.
Exactly. Man, listen, I'm not, I can be, I want to be judged by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin.
Yeah.
God bless Martin Luther King. Yeah. I love that phrase, man. I love that phrase.
That's right.
I love you, Lee Morrison. I don't care about your color, I don't care about anything, really. If you can be a friend with me, I can be a friend with you.
Yeah.
If your character, if you're a good character, you know, you say what you mean what you say, you know, no double standards and everything. So that's what we are looking at in people.
Yeah.
I don't care what color.
Not perfectly.
No. But
if you want to call it common decency and
common decency.
Yeah. And values that promote life, promote relationships.
But the problem is that we politicize everything. And whenever it's politicized, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Race becomes a problem. Ethnicity becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And food becomes a problem when the government will tell you what to eat and what not to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just giving an example.
And that happens when it's deemed that people aren't able to make that decision for themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
That's another stupid thing. How the heck, you know, what do you mean?
You're going down a rabbit hole there.
I know. I mean, you tell me I'm not bright enough to decide what to eat. I mean, or to choose what to eat. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, man.
That's maybe.
No. Listen, there is another thing I want to talk to you about, and I want to ask you. You're a married guy.
Yes.
And you've been
married. Yeah.
Happily married. I'm very happy to hear that.
Father of 5, husband of 1.
Yes. Okay.
Just to clarify.
No, but that's really good though. So you're a husband of 1 woman. You have 5 children.
5 children. Yeah.
And you are happy.
Yeah. Hey.
It is hard work.
Absolutely. Hard work, yeah. But I think there's a contentment that is there that's Yeah.
Well, I came across some statistics for Scotland. Actually, I found an amazing statistic by the Office for National Statistics in Scotland.
Okay.
And actually, they can give you statistics from 1855 to 2021.
Goodness.
The numbers of marriages every year, man.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's very good.
So
that's amazing that records were actually being kept as far back as 1855.
Now, that's an amazing country, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Of course, it would have all been on paper.
Exactly. But still.
Yeah.
And you know who keeps the records mostly, or how it started? The churches.
Really?
The churches. Everywhere you go in Europe, the churches, the Christian churches, that's where you would have had records kept. Birth records, marriage records, death records, churches. Yeah.
Wow.
So I found an interesting stat. Like, for example, I found that from 1855 up towards 1940, the percentage, the numbers of marriages taken place in this country, I'm talking about the United Kingdom, grew, and especially in Scotland grew from 1855 to about 1940 grew. I think it was 1940 was the biggest year Scotland recorded over 50,000 marriages. I think 53 or something.
Yeah.
So over 50,000 marriages.
Okay.
And then from 1940 onwards, started to decrease.
Decline. Okay.
And declined until about 2020. Now that was pandemic.
Yeah.
It recorded about over 10,000 marriages.
Okay.
Yeah, in 2020. And then it picked up again after the pandemic. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But the trend is marriages are in decline. So people are not getting married as much as they used to. People are evading marriage, escaping marriage, running away from marriage.
Yeah.
And I'm married. I married late in life. I was 38. But I'm happy that I married.
Yeah.
I'm happy I chose to marry.
Good.
You're married and you're happy.
Yeah.
So why do you think people
31
when you got married?
We got married, yeah.
Why do you think people nowadays are marrying less?
Well, I suppose there could be a number of reasons, but I'm guessing if you don't feel that it's worthwhile or that it actually means anything. What I mean by that is somebody might use the argument, well, maybe we can live together, we can be happy.
Okay.
Why do we need a piece of paper to kind of seal the deal? What difference will it make by pledging a commitment to one another?
Okay.
Why can't we just do that in the comfort of our home? Why do we have to have a ceremony?
Is that a reason or more of an excuse?
It could be both, Sava. Okay. I'm sure some people will use it as a reason. Other people will use it as an excuse. I think when we spoke a little bit about this yesterday, I remember hearing somebody say, my partner and I can't afford to get married.
Okay.
They saw greater, that they were together.
They were meaning they don't have enough money for a wedding.
Enough money for a wedding.
Okay.
Okay. That they saw that as an obstacle, but they were cohabiting. Which no judgments, but they saw that was more important. As long as we're together, it's more important than actually having a ceremony.
Okay, but as far as I know, in Scotland and in United Kingdom, you can legally marry at the registrar or at a legal office, for you to be legally married in the country, and to be regarded as legally married, to be recognized by the government, and you don't need to have religious ceremony. Or if you cannot, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
No,
just take your family to McDonald's and order pizza home, and then have a nice party, and that's about that.
Yeah.
Order a Chinese, So to me, it seems more like an excuse. To condone a belief that we don't need a paper to be married. If we choose to be together, we can be happily together.
I mean, as you're saying that, the thought is coming to me. Some people might reason, who says you have to be married? Why can't we just live together?
Okay.
I mean, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
Who says? You know, is it? Yeah, okay. That the marriage certificate or the marriage is legally binding. You're pledging commitment to each other. You're signing, you know, that declaration as well. You're making the vows. But, you know, other than that, who says you have to?
Yeah, but you see,
that's maybe what they're questioning. Why the need? Is it going to add anything? You know, if they don't see the value of it, then why do it?
So what I gather from you is the social pressure to have a wedding.
Could be, yeah.
And the expectation, and then the social pressure to have a wedding and to have a wedding like so and so had it. So because we can have it cheaper, we can spend only 5,000 quid per the wedding, but no, so and so spent 25. So you cannot look a little bit lesser than that. So there is a social pressure. But you see, the way we have weddings is a social construct. So we got it to where it is now. But we can change it. So let's have if you're a Christian and if you want a religious ceremony, you know, God's blessing on your union, let's have a wedding which is just 2,000 quid. Not 30,000, just 2,000 quid. But you won't.
No. Because
you have to keep up with the Joneses, you know. We can make it cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, you know, you'll know how your wedding costs, but I can't. I know it wasn't as expensive as some weddings. Our wedding, and that was down to we both decided. You know, we wanted what we felt was necessary. We wanted a public wedding, you know, in the church, but we didn't want to put so much pressure on. You know, we wanted to be able to enjoy, you know, and be modest.
Yes.
You know, without feeling that you were shortchanging anyone, or do you know what I mean? I'm trying to find the right words for it. But I think it goes back to what you said. We didn't feel any pressure to outperform anyone or to fulfill anybody's expectations. You know, we knew that we wanted to get married, and I mean, Christina, when she hears this, she'll laugh, because I remember saying to Christina, you know, we'd been engaged. I think we got engaged November. It was November the 5th, 2001. And we got married on July the 14th, 2002. There's a little bit of debate over whether it was the 14th or the 15th. So I need to go back and have a look. But anyway, so it was less than 12 months afterwards. I always remember saying to Christina, oh, you know, I'm not sure whether we can afford to get married. Are you sure we can afford to get married? And she just looked at me and she just says, you know, don't talk stupid. Of course we can afford to get married.
How much?
I wasn't looking for a way.
How much does the license cost? About 60 quid or 150? I can't remember.
No,
I can't.
But do you know what I mean? So, I mean, Christina did a lot of the organization, and then obviously parents were involved, family on each side. You know, but there was me, you know, oh, are you sure we can manage to afford this?
So usually the ladies are involved into organizing the wedding. The guys are just getting married.
I think Christina knew if she left it to me, I would have just like rocked up on the day, you know, like, yeah, where am I supposed to be?
Where is everybody? Where is everybody? He didn't invite them, man.
So,
forgot to send the invitations.
Yeah. So going back to, you know, what do I think? I mean, it's interesting because you said the decline started from 1940.
Yeah.
And I think what we have to remember is we were in the middle of a Second World War at that point, 1939 till 1945.
Okay.
So
and boys were going to war.
Yes, that would have been natural to see that decline there. But post-war
kept going. And if you look at this. So this is 1940, and look at this now with some spikes in the 70s.
Yeah.
But then from the 70s, like 74, a spike in 74 and 70, and then from the 70s just going down, declining
Yeah. So I mean, that could give a picture and an insight into where society's at.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, we'd probably be hard pushed to put our finger on one particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe a number of issues, but they then snowball and, obviously give you those statistics.
I found another reason, which I found it in me, fear of commitment.
Yeah.
And previous bad experiences.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I didn't see a good example in my mom's and dad's relationship.
Right. Okay.
So I thought to myself, I don't want this, man.
Yeah.
When I thought, if not all, but most marriages would be like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that
that's
would be different.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Fear of commitment. When I was younger, it's something stupid that goes in boys' mind. It goes on. You are afraid to commit to a girl because in case something better comes along. And you've just taken this girl that is somewhat defect, shorter leg that you don't know of, or something extra or lacking. And then this babe comes around the corner and shoot, I'm going to miss her. Look, I'm married to her and I'm going to miss her,
Grass is greener, yeah.
I know, but that's, I know it's not I know it's stupid.
Yeah.
But at some level, at some age, a guy thinks like that.
Yeah.
I cannot commit to her.
Yeah.
If the babes of babes comes around the corner and I'm committed, what am I going to do? So we always and forever want to have the freedom of choosing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was just trying to think, it would have been interesting for us to have a look at the statistics. Obviously in Asian culture, arranged marriages can be very popular. They can also be there is obviously reports of abuse. But then that can happen anywhere. But there is also quite a high percentage of marital success where
in arranged marriages.
Wow. Parents have selected a spouse for their son, for their daughter, and it's been arranged. I actually had a friend I was at school with, and I remember him showing me a picture of a young girl in Pakistan that he had never met. I'd be interested to know if he's still married to the same girl today, but I remember him showing me the picture. Lee, this is going to be my wife. He was like 15 at the time. Arranged marriage, yeah.
Were they keeping in touch or something, no?
I think so. I mean, this was days before internet, just landlines.
The skill of writing letters.
Yeah. So, there was at some point, because I actually know that this guy is still in the country, still lives in Birmingham. But I think his wife, was obviously brought over from Pakistan for him. But no, you do hear accounts of very, very successful arranged marriages. As I say, you hear the bad and the ugly, but you also hear the good as well. And I've often wondered, why is that?
Interesting. I've heard, about arranged marriages, and in many cultures, especially Asian cultures and some Islamic cultures, in Africa and everything,
Because it's great if it works. It's not saying it'll work for everyone.
So it saves me from having to choose or to decide.
Yeah.
It's decided for you.
So somebody's chosen for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know how it works, but I get the impression that parents must speak with other parents and say, will your daughter be betrothed to my son, or vice versa, and that's all agreed beforehand. So I don't actually think the child has.
I don't know how the arrangement takes place, but I guess there would be a parent discussion. I guess, know.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but you see, then, what's the percentage of guys that want others to decide for them who to marry, and what's the percentage of guys that want to decide for themselves who to marry? You know, because probably for some it's beneficial. You know, some guys are very introverted, shy.
Yeah.
And if the parents would do that for them, probably they would say a big thank you.
Yeah.
You know, but some other guys are very choleric, are very proactive. You know, aggressive somewhat. You know, into deciding their own future.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting, but nonetheless, man, the percentage of people getting married is decreasing. Definitely, there are social and economic factors that play into it.
Yes.
Social pressures, culture.
Yeah.
You know, the culture is changing. Less people are going to church. You know, so marriage is less valued because Christianity. Well, the institution of marriage is a Judeo-Christian idea. You know, it's a Judeo-Christian value. It's a Judeo-Christian institution.
Yeah.
You know, so the more secular the society gets, the less marriage is valued.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it seems to me.
And I think we are obviously seeing an increase in people redefining what marriage is and what marriage looks like. And again, that's probably a different discussion.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not, because we are in the middle of a culture war.
Yeah.
Some call it culture revolution, but it's a culture war because a revolution revolutionizes things. We are in a war. Yeah. So it's a lot happening in Britain, America, Canada, and especially in the English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, right now we are in the unfortunate situation where we're trying to redefine what a woman is and what a man is, and what masculinity is, and what, you know. Yeah. So we are redefining basic stuff, fundamental stuff.
Yes.
That shows that society is crumbling. If you look historically, societies are crumbling when categories are being destroyed. Yeah. You know, and when there are no rules, no values. You know, when people are moved by their feelings rather than their values or priorities. You know, a value doesn't have to be congruent to what I feel, to comply to my feelings. You know, whenever I am moved by my feelings, it's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, I think there's definitely signs of rebellion.
Definitely, yes.
Because it's crying out for, you know, why do we have to do it this way? Why can't we do it this way?
Well, I can tell you why we have to do it this way. Because it works.
Yeah.
Because doing it the other way, it doesn't work, man.
No. It is. I know the Bible describes, you know, a time where people will have a form of godliness, but denying the power.
Yes.
So it's almost like a sign of, we have like a type of virtue. We know we want to be seen to be progressing, moving with the times, you know, get with it. You know, that was yesterday, this is now. But within that, we're taking the bits that we like and we're leaving the bits that we don't like. And very often the bits that we don't like are the bits that we need.
Exactly.
The bits, it's a bit like the essentials, on a bike, the wheels. You know, you're leaving the wheels, but you're taking the frame. Well, you're not going to get very far. You need the wheels and the frame to move forward. So there was a reason wheels are on a bike.
Exactly. The reason I'm asking you about family and marriage, and family as a unit, because family is important as the basic unit of society that keeps society together.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have families, if the family disintegrates, society disintegrates.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me. You know, we are having increasingly broken marriages, broken relationships. Boys and girls are growing to single parents, whether mom or dad.
Yeah.
men are inexistent in boys' lives. I read the book last year, was it? Or the year before, I can't remember. Absent fathers, lost sons.
Wow. Okay.
So the boy gets lost when the dad is not present in his life, man.
Yeah.
So the more broken families we have, the more broken children we are going to have.
Yeah.
They say, yeah, but the kids can do better with single parents. Yeah, but they are doing better in mom and dad families, in full families. They are doing better when the mom and dad are together.
So I think there's definitely a reason why it was set up.
Exactly. So why are we trying to break something that works? Because we've been hurt. Because ours didn't work out great. You know, you don't throw away the ideal because I had a bad experience. And the ideal has to stay. I don't throw away the ideal because I'm broken and imperfect. I need something to aspire to. And family, or the idea of family, a monogamous, heterosexual, long-term family, you know, mom and dad, with the purpose of producing kids, is the ideal. I don't have to do away with it because I'm imperfect, or because I'm gay, or because I am broken. No, because as a human, I need something to aspire to. And that is an ideal. And we need ideals, man. And when we do away with the ideals, society disintegrates. And this is what worries me right now. So we have this problem in the English-speaking countries. I don't want to talk about France and whatever, you know, European Union. I'm in Britain right now. So in the United Kingdom. And if family unit disintegrates, society disintegrates. And goes nuts. You know, and that's my worry. You know, so that's why, I mean, 5 kids. Yeah, but it's a hard life. Well, 5 kids is not a walk in the park. You tell me, how's to bring up 5 kids?
It's not without challenge. I mean, you're probably aware we homeschooled all 5 children. My youngest at the moment, he's
I was going to say, what about that, man?
That was something we decided to do.
Why?
Well, you probably know Christina was a primary school teacher.
Okay.
And she just felt that, you know, for us, you know, and obviously I was on board with it as well. You know, I probably wasn't, you know, due to work, I probably wasn't as involved in it as Christina was. But she says, no, we'll make the decision to homeschool the children. You know, because I think we both kind of recognized that being around us and being in the home was the ideal environment for us to bring our children up. You know, why do we have children to entrust them to somebody else to educate them? Not that they would do a bad job or do an injustice, but just that we want to take responsibility. You know, we make that choice to take responsibility to educate the children in the way that we feel is best. You know, and that takes work.
Okay,
it takes work. But you know, we're at a point now where my youngest is 14. He's obviously in his last year or two of homeschooling. And the other children are either at college, university, or workplace. You know, so it's been, you know, if you want to call it successful, it's worked for us. We've heard of families that it didn't work for whatever reasons. But yeah,
some people will argue that homeschooling will lead to a lack of social skills in kids. How are your kids doing?
Well, we always used to get that question. How will they socialize? How will they mix with other children? We overcame that by getting them involved in after school extracurricular activities. So things like, you know, they used to play badminton, hockey, football, netball. I know Judah went to the Cub Scouts for a while. Sophia went to the what do you call it now? It's like the territorial army.
I know. Yeah, I know.
She only went.
Is like a Scouts for girls or something?
It's a bit like that, yeah. But they were like the military style stuff, the beret.
Okay, there was a unit here in Peterhead.
Yeah, it still is.
It still is.
That's where she went. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So she got involved in that. I'm trying to think now. let's say the other girls were more sort of like dance. Gabriella went to dancing for a while and that. Judah and Sophia both went to hockey for a couple of years, so they're doing hockey after school. Judah was actually playing with like an adult team.
Okay.
So, and of course, I mean, we come from a big family as well.
Yeah.
Cousins, but that are similar ages to the children. So no shortage of socialization. We're part of a healthy church, so people there, interact.
Community is important.
Community, yeah. So we're never looking for perfection, but we were always looking to create opportunities for them to interact, so that it wasn't just being in the house; they were doing other stuff. Yeah.
I think that's amazing, man.
Yeah, as I say, but people always used to raise the objection. What about the socialization? I tell you what, they did miss out on the peer pressure that you see in
Okay.
I'll give you a classic example. A number of years ago, I had a personal training client that very often would arrive just at the time that my children were leaving the house to go to one of their after school clubs. So they would see my children, they would be coming through the front gate. My children would just be leaving the house and they'd be like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Da, da, da. And then my clients would look round and the children would be hopping and skipping down the road, not a care in the world, and they weren't just like little children, probably in their teens, but just they didn't feel any sort of pressure to conform, or who might be watching. They were singing, they were dancing, just, now some people might think, oh, well, that's not age appropriate. Yeah, but there was no pressure on them that they could behave how they felt most comfortable. They wasn't doing anybody any harm, but they were feeling that they felt the freedom to express themselves in that way. So, I think, peer pressure, when you hear stories of how people are looked down upon because they're maybe not wearing the kind of clothes that other kids are wearing, like you said earlier, you don't speak the same as somebody else, so you're a foreigner, you're an incomer, that kind of thing.
I thrive on pressure.
Yeah, it's just as well.
But now you must be glad you didn't school them. I didn't traditionally school them, send them to school, because the educational system right now in Britain is doing some stupid stuff, man. I mean,
I'm not saying that. I think because it's easy to lose touch, because, like I said, I left school in 1988, so the school system back then, I think it's fair to say, was a lot different.
Oh, definitely. Now they are trying to push this transgender ideology in schools. I'm talking at a very young age. I mean, that's an idiotic move, if you ask me. So I wouldn't like anybody to talk to my kids about that kind of stuff, but me. Neither the government, neither the educational system. And they're making mistakes. Now, again, as we said, Britain is a great country. It has its own problems. It's not without problems, but it is a great country. So, but educational system right now, I mean, I would love to talk to somebody about what's going on in schools. I hope I find somebody.
I think the thing is, so if you speak to, I think of conversations that I have had with one or two teaching staff, and they're under immense pressure as well.
Not to speak,
and to try and keep things
quiet
in tow.
Well, if I don't do anything wrong, if what I do, it seems to me that is not wrong, why would I keep it quiet? I would only try to keep something quiet that is wrong.
But then I think there's fear of repercussions, losing,
No. I'm not talking about the people that are involved, the teachers and whatever, the powers that be. Why would you try to keep quiet if it's something good?
True. Yeah.
I only keep something a secret if it's bad. The Apostle John says in the Gospel of John, he writes that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. So whenever we try to conceal, it's obvious. It's something evil. That's a given. So it's wow.
I did again, not wanting to digress, but I remember hearing a story, and it's been in the last few years, again down in England, Birmingham, where I grew up, there's a school, and because the area where I grew up would be predominantly Asian now, there is obviously a high percentage of those that practice the Muslim faith.
Yeah.
And one of the schools, I think there was something being brought in where children would be taught on, different sexualities. Okay. And straight away, the Muslim community, they stood up against it because it went against their values. And they were picketing at the school, said, look, no.
I remember seeing that on the news. Yeah.
We do not want this taught to our children. If there's going to be any sexual education, anything, with children, it's when we choose and in line with what we believe. And I think that's what people need to do.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes when we're quiet about things, I'm not saying we have to have conflicts everywhere, but you'll probably remember this. Remember the definition of conflict is when two ideas or philosophies try to
occupy the same space.
Yeah.
Yes.
High five.
So this begs the question: is Christianity weak in this country? Because it seems to me that Christianity doesn't step up and doesn't stand for its beliefs in a public square the way the Muslims did.
We're fearful of the repercussions, what people might think about us, what people might say about us, what people might do to us. I think so.
But then this, you see,
it's if I'm being honest, they're legitimate fears. But what you find is the people that actually, it's that saying, isn't it? Stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. Well, or you'll fall for anything.
You'll fall for anything.
So people appreciate whether they're religious or not. They appreciate people that stand for something.
If we don't want to pay the price now, we'll pay later, but it will be a bigger price.
Yeah.
That's so. We are afraid now in case of the repercussions. Okay, I can get that, but if we don't stand up now, we'll pay later, and the price will be much bigger.
Yeah,
it's always been like that throughout history.
Yeah, I was going to say history. There's nothing new under the sun.
No,
is there?
No,
yeah,
no.
Different time, but the same or similar issues.
Yeah.
Have to be addressed.
It's always. I mean, the principles are the same.
Yeah.
The circumstances may differ, from generation to generation on every so many hundreds of years, but they repeat themselves because people are people.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of sacrifice. We have a very good life right now. Our generation has a very good life, and we are afraid not to lose that life. But that life has come to us by the sacrifices of the generations before us. You see, and if we intend to leave something to our children and to the generations that come after us, that requires sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I don't think, as comfortable as we are, we like the idea of sacrifice. No, we don't. No,
it costs.
It costs. Yeah. But if we don't stand up now, we are going to pay later, and the price will be a lot bigger. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I shared a story in church. It was before Christmas, a couple of months ago, and it was to do with. I've actually got a Bible, and I actually took the Bible with me, but it was given to me, just over 30 years ago. So it was actually just before I actually made a commitment to be a Christian.
Okay.
So I've always held on to it, and the Bible actually belonged to a great uncle on my mother's side of the family.
Okay.
And so it'd been passed down, but inside there's an inscription of who it's to. And from what I know of the story behind this, the young man that received the Bible, he was a teenager. And it was just at the start of the First World War. And it was at a time where obviously pride in the sense of people were proud, were British. Young men were willing to lie about their age so that they go and fight.
Wow.
And it actually made me think, we might think, well, that was just stupidity. Why put your life on the line? Because that young man actually lost his life. There's actually a war grave abroad, and actually my brother actually looked into the certificate, and it tells you exactly where he was buried and that. But just, they probably never found his body, but he has a grave to commemorate, so it'll never be forgotten. But we might say that that's stupidity, but that tells you something about the mentality of what people are willing to do when they have a cause that they feel is worth fighting for. That was a teenage boy, probably about 14, 15, so not old enough legally to fight.
And it tells you what their moms and dads instilled in them.
Yeah.
The values.
Yeah.
That were instilled in them. That's amazing.
And then we have to ask the question. The reason I mention that is, in this generation, I mean, you've experienced some national service, so you know exactly.
Oh, yes.
I've never experienced that, so I'm theorizing. But if young people were asked today, conscript, you must, you will, what do you think? What kind of response do you think? So sadly, they want to know what they're fighting for.
Back then they lied to get in. We would like to get out.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact. Yeah,
we will invent some health condition or something.
Yeah,
I'm blind of one eye.
How can we get out of this?
How to get out? Yeah,
because we don't. It's not a strong enough cause. What is the cause?
What is the cause?
Yeah,
we need a cause.
Yeah, it's like. And again, it's not a political conversation or anything, but we're acutely aware, Russia, Ukraine, what's been ongoing, Israel, Hamas. If that was happening on British soil, how would we react?
Good question.
But because it's away from us, because we're removed from it, we watch it on the news and we say, oh, it's a shame. Oh, the poor people. And I'm not saying that we're not compassionate towards them, but do we ever stop to think that it could actually happen here?
Yeah. Well, listen, that's a very strong idea to finish with, idea of sacrifice, and the generations before us lied to get in and would be willing to lie to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what do we value?
Yeah. Lee, I'm so happy you made time to talk to me today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
I appreciate it. It's been a very good discussion. I enjoyed talking to you. Yeah. Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Sava, thank you. Will you have me back?
Yes, of course. Of course. Anytime, man. Anytime. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Come on. Let me see. I had a few in mind. And that. What's your why? In a general sense.
Why am I alive? Why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, what do you feel that right now? I mean, I know obviously you enjoy doing these podcasts, speaking to people, hearing their stories, sharing a little bit of your story. But what's the why? What do you hope to?
I'm telling
what would you like to achieve?
My why. I want to live my own adventure. I don't want to live anybody else's life. That's why.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to live my own adventure.
Yeah, to be fair, if we don't do that, if we don't find a why, somebody else will find one.
Of course, always.
Yeah.
If I don't get busy, somebody will
get you busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's a good answer.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome.
Guys, if you appreciate our discussion, if we appreciate what we are doing, our podcast, please don't hesitate to like it, don't hesitate to share it, and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching and following my channel. I wish you an amazing day wherever you are, and bye-bye from us for now.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.